Hello, Rama Pupodu. Hope all are healthy, having a great life, peaceful and relaxed. Now let's continue with devotee Devaraja Mudaliar. In 1936, the ashrama management was in an embarrassing predicament. A lawsuit was filed in the local magistrate court against Bhagavan Chinnaswamy and most of the ashram residents. Chinnaswamy rushed to Sundaram Chettiar, a retired High Court judge who was also Bhagavan's devotee, and sought his guidance. Out of all the reputed lawyers in Tiruvannamalai and other areas, the judge suggested the name of Devaraja Mudaliar, who was then in Chittoor, 100 miles away. When Devaraja Mudaliar narrated this to me, there were tears in his eyes. Look at the master's grace. According to the Indian Penal Code, when one is summoned by the court, one is required to appear before it. It seemed impossible to avoid this humiliating situation, but Devaraja Mudaliar managed to get the case dismissed in the initial stages, and so no one needed to go to court. The complainant took his appeal to a higher court, but there too Mudaliar managed to get the case dismissed. There was a higher purpose behind Bhagavan choosing Mudaliar for this. He was to become one of the boldest to disseminate Arunachala's teaching of I am throughout the world. Therefore, it was not enough that the Guru accepted him. The management, including Chinnaswamy, had to accept him too. This incident helped Mudaliar win his critics over. In 1939, Mudaliar felt the attraction of Bhagavan's grace to be so powerful that he wanted to quit his profession, and he permanently seated at the holy feet of his master. No one in those days was allowed to build a room for himself in the ashramam. The two exceptions were Major Chadwick and Yogi Ramaya. Many others had tried, but the management refused, saying, "We did not want it to be a residential ashram. We wanted to be a small with limited residential facilities." Mudaliar said, "Bhagavan influenced me in my heart to write to Chinnaswamy asking for permission to build a hut inside the ashram." The reply came quickly in the affirmative. The discipline desires to be with the Guru, and the Guru also responds in the same way. I love the example of Devaraja Mudaliar because he is a practical demonstration of the active relationship between the Guru and disciple. It took 2 years to construct a hut and wind up his affairs in Chittoor. In 1941, he came to stay permanently in Ramana Ashramam. Thereafter, he was with the master daily. Yet, Mudaliar had a deep desire to have Bhagavan's holy feet step into his room. Bhagavan laid out a simple stipulation: I will come to your room, but no fanfare. Do not invite anyone, and do not make it a big deal. Again, Mudaliar narrated this to me with a moistened eyes. Bhagavan stepped inside his room and blessed him. Mudaliar said, "This event signified the fulfillment of my own spiritual emancipation. It was not just a visit." He added, "Ganesan, do not take this lightly. Every moment between Bhagavan and me was very significant." Bhagavan very rarely spoke English, and in the 1940s, after the publication of Paul Brunton's book, many seekers from the West started showing up. Interpreters were required to help them converse with Bhagavan. Devaraja Mudaliar, Munagala Venkataramaya, and many others played the role of translators. Once Bhagavan made a remark which not only Mudaliar but other devotees too have told me about. All others interpret when I talk. Only Devaraja Mudaliar translates exactly what I say. I spent hours listening to Devaraja Mudaliar's narration about his time with Bhagavan. It was music to my ears and also a part of my sadhana to listen to stories of his relationship with the Guru. Mudaliar told me Bhagavan never expressed strong views on ethical or worldly matters, save two exceptions. One was his total disapproval of non vegetarian food, and the other was his dislike for external renunciation, donning the ochre robe, shaving the head, taking on another name, and taking sannyas. In 1936, while seated in the hall in the presence of Bhagavan, Mudaliar strongly felt that Bhagavan would like him to be a vegetarian. Though Bhagwan did not actually say this to him, he sensed it. However, he also remembered that he had anemia, for which Dr. Guruswami Mudaliar had advised him to eat plenty of meat, eggs, and liver soup. Mudaliar was frank enough to admit, I was also very fond of non vegetarian food, and here, seated in front of my Guru, this strong urge comes that Bhagavan wants me to be a vegetarian. Faced with this dilemma, he went up the hill with Bhagavan and told him, Bhagavan, I feel your influence on me to be a vegetarian, but this is my medical condition. Bhagavan smiled and told him, vegetarian food contains all that is necessary for health and strength. Mudaliar was very happy to hear this and replied, I have courage now, Bhagavan, to embark on this eating experiment. I know I can live even on thin air if you said it is enough to support me. By sheer grace, he said his health did not suffer at all from the change in diet, nor did he experience any carvings later. Once Mudaliar clarified for me the difference between faith and belief. Belief is a thought. I believe in Christianity, though I am an Hindu. Faith is complete. There is no question of accepting or rejecting. What do you mean by that? I asked. He replied, Ganesan, if Bhagavan had shown me a crow and said, Here is a white crow, I swear I would have seen only a white crow. No contrary thought would have crossed my mind. I would never have thought that I have never heard of a white crow. That it is impossible, or question why Bhagavan said so. It is not accepting because belief is thinking. Yes, when the Guru says so, then it must be a white crow. But faith is seeing only that white crow. The approach of Devaraja Mudaliar was that of one who surrenders. In surrender, there is no me. The me has belief, and me can never know what faith is. With the thought of me, we would have tried to delve into the white crow logic and said, This is nonsense. Bhagavan would never have said that, or something to that effect. The other person teaching that Mudaliar has given us in the answer to the age old confusion of every spiritual seeker about destiny and free will. Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and other Eastern religions generally believe in destiny. You are now a woman because you were destined to be a woman, not became what you have chosen. This is destiny. Whether you are wealthy or poor is destiny. But if everything is destined, then why should we do any spiritual sadhanas at all? This was a dialogue between Mudaliar and Bhagavan one day. I can understand, Bhagavan, that the external factors in a man's life, such as his nationality, family, profession, marriage, death, etc., are all predestined according to his karma. But can it be that his entire life, down to the minutest detail, is already predetermined? Now, for instance, Bhagavan, I have put this fan in my hand down on the floor. Is this also already predestined? Bhagavan replied very firmly, certainly. Whatever this body is to do and whatever experiences it has to pass through is already determined when it comes into existence. Mudaliar did not stop. He put forth further questions. What becomes then of man's freedom and responsibility for his actions? Bhagavan, looking graciously at Mudaliar, answered, the only freedom man has is to strive for and acquire jnana, wisdom, which will enable him not to identify himself with the body. Man is free to free himself from body identification, and that is the only freedom he has. Identified with the body, man has no freedom from destiny at all. The body will go through all actions already enjoined to it to be done. Just the thought, I do not identify with the body, is not enough because it is merely another thought. This is why we have to do sadhana. To cut off our identification with the body, we must have jnana by being steady in the heart. Devotees and seekers often talked about the importance of Arunachala hill, going around it and staying in its vicinity. At various times, Mudaliar asked Bhagavan the significance of going around the hill. Bhagavan once said, going around the hill is very good for everybody. It does not even matter whether one has faith in his pradakshina or not, just as the fire will burn all who touch it, whether they believe it or not. Likewise, the hill will do only good to those who go around it. Once, Mudaliar was pestering Bhagavan on the same issue, and Bhagavan smilingly said, why are you so concerned with all these questions about the efficacy of going around the hill? Whatever else you may or may not get, you will at least have the benefit of physical exercise. Mudaliar scrupulously started doing circumambulation of Arunachala regularly, and every time he went, he took Bhagavan's consent. The master's way of giving his consent was to ask, who else is going with you? Mudaliar would say the name of his companions, if any. Once, while responding to the same question, he said, today Bhagavan is accompanying me, nobody else. Bhagavan gave a broad smile and blessed him. As for staying at Arunachala, Bhagavan had translated from Arunachala Mahamatmyam a Sanskrit verse which says, Lord Shiva gave a commandment stating, I ordain that residence within 3 yojanas, 30 miles of the hill is, by itself, suffice to burn off all defects and even render union with the Supreme, in the absence of any form of initiation. Bhagavan, while extolling this verse, had said, anyone or anything that is found in, on, and around Arunachala automatically gets liberated without need for any form of religious or spiritual practices. Mudaliar, as usual, persistently questioned Bhagavan. How can the criminals, non-believers, animals, birds, trees, stones found here get liberation? Bhagavan graciously replied, who are we to say anything, much less to question it? It is the decision declared by the Privy Council. During the British regime, which had colonized much of the world, the Privy Council was the highest court of appeal in London. Bhagavan punned on the word using legal terms, because Mudaliar was a lawyer. Devaraja Mudaliar said, I am a lawyer, so that this truth could go deep into my heart. Bhagavan used the term Privy Council for Lord Shiva. He felt that he was simple and was incapable of progressing spiritually. Therefore, on many occasions he appealed to Bhagavan, "You should save me. I cannot save myself." One day, Mudaliar came across a Tamil song in which the poet laments that he is not like a tenacious young monkey that can hold on to its mother tightly, but rather like a purring kitten that must be carried by the neck in its mother's jaws. The poet prays God should therefore take care of him. Mudaliar showed the song to Bhagavan and told him, "My case is exactly the same. You must take pity on me. Bhagavan, hold me by the neck and see that I don't fall and get injured." Bhagavan's answer was characteristic. "That is impossible. It is necessary both for you to strive and for the Guru to help." Mudaliar then pleaded that even scriptures recognize the two methods of the baby monkey and the kitten. Markata Nyayam and Marjala Nyayam are being suited to seekers with differing capacities. But despite all his pleading, this was the only answer he got from Bhagavan. The endeavor of the disciple is the grace of the Guru. There is no lack and no difference. The devotee's effort and Guru's grace are synonymous. We have to hold on tightly to the Guru like a baby monkey, and the Guru will take care of us like a mother cat. பாடல் 10. ஏன் இந்த உறக்க மெனைப்பிற ரிலுக்க விதுவுன கழகோ வர்ணாச்சலா. பொருள்: மற்றவர் என்னை இழுக்கும்போது ஏன் இந்த உறக்கம்? இதுதான் உனக்கு அழகோ அருணாச்சலா. Meaning, when others are dragging me, why this slumber? Is this very nice of you, Arunachala? That's all, folks. Let's continue in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Pupodu.